Welcome. In the previous video, we have seen different aspects of hardware software co-design in an embedded system. In today's video, we are going to start with computational models used in embedded design. And we will be discussing two models in this video. A simple data flow graph model and a controlled data flow graph model. Other models we will discuss in coming videos. So let us check what is data flow graph model. So this data flow graph model is basically data driven model. It translates data processing requirements into a data flow graph. So here the program execution is determined completely by the data, available data or given data. So basically I can say that a data flow graph model emphasizes on data and operations on data, which transforms a given input data to required output data. And obviously it is a visual model, right, in which the operation on the data, or I can say the process, will be represented by a block or a circle, and the flow of data will be represented using arrows. An inward arrow to the process represents input data, and obviously an outward arrow from the process or the circle represents output data. That is the notation in data flow graph which we usually follow. So almost all embedded applications which are computationally intensive and data driven will be preferably modeled with data flow graph. Maybe some digital signal processing application is a typical example. Okay. In such computational intensive embedded applications, you will have a lot of functions written. Okay. So a lot of functions means computational functions written. So whenever required, you are going to call this, invoke this function. So let us take a very simple example where one of the function of the requirement reads like this. You have this x equals a plus b and y equals x minus c. So as you look here, x is a data produced by adding these two data, right? So basically this equation is data driven, and you can feel that this is a and b are input data maybe. And I feel looking at this first statement alone, I feel that x is an output data. But next equation tells me that y is x minus c. So x is involved here. X is already a plus b. So after reading the second statement, I understand that okay, maybe y is my output data and a, b and c are input data and x is intermediate data. So this is very important. Looking into requirement, you should be able to understand before modeling which are the input data, which data represents the output, and if there any intermediate variables used or intermediate data used. So in this case, a plus b is going to give me x, and that x is used to calculate my output y. So basically y is equal to a plus b minus c. So let us see how to represent this using a data flow graph model. So you have this a and b into a process. Okay, we call it as a process or a circle or data flow node. So this is my first data flow node. It represents an operation, that is plus, addition. So a added with b, I'm going to get x, and this x is used to perform the next operation. So I have another operation circle here or another data flow node here, which picks my next data input c, and that is subtracted from x. So x subtracted from c will give me final data y. So this is how we develop a data flow graph model for the requirement. So this is very important to understand. It's very simple and very straightforward if the requirement is as simple as this. But you know that a computationally very extensive system cannot have a requirement something like this. right? There will be a lot of functions. Functions, when I say, if I consider these two statements as a function, such many statements you will have, and each can be treated as separate functions and can be modeled like this. Can be modeled independently, then joined together. That time this y will become another intermediate data. Doesn't matter. So now this requirement is conveyed visually using this model. But usually this data driven model, okay, usually involve these control operations or conditions. Instead of directly telling that x is a plus b or y is x minus c, I may have that if some condition is satisfied, then perform this, otherwise don't perform this addition, something like that. So usually embedded system applications, okay, you modeled around these conditions. Okay, my air conditioner should work if the temperature is above something, right? Otherwise it's okay. Maintain the temperature. If the temperature is below some mark, okay, then stop the fan, okay, make the temperature ambient or normal. So all this, so there will be a lot of conditions involved. In that case, on such cases, we cannot rely upon data flow graph model. So as discussed in the previous video, this is a basic issue which we are going to face in code design, selecting the model. So in such cases, you should not select a data flow graph model. Instead, you should go for control data flow model or control data flow graph, or we can also call it as conditional data flow graph. So this graph will be used for modeling applications involving conditional program execution, as the name suggests. Okay, so it will contain both data operations as well as control operations. That tells you that the visual model will contain data flow nodes as well as decision nodes. So along with operation circles, you will have decision nodes also in CDFG, that is control data flow graph. So let us have a look at an implementation of CDFG for another simple example. Okay, if this is some variable considered, if flag is 1, this is the condition. If flag is 1, then x is a plus b, else I have another condition, y is a minus b. So let us see how we can implement this using this. So I will have a decision node where I check whether flag is 1, okay, or we can call it a control node. Okay, so control node, a decision node where I say that flag is 1, I'll check where flag is 1. If flag is 1, yes, true, it is true, then I should go for the addition operation. If flag is 1, x is a plus b. So if flag is 1, true condition, then I have an operation circle which is addition. So a and b will be added and I'll get this result. Okay, this is a common output point. It's always better to consider a common input point and a common output point when you go for visual models. So I have kept a common point for a and b, and I kept a common point for x and y. Okay, so this a and b is added if this is true. Now if it is false, else condition, right? If flag is not 1, basically any other value other than 1, if it is a binary system, it will be 0. So if flag is 0, then if this becomes false. So if it is false statement, then you'll go to the next operation, that is subtraction. So I'll subtract a and b to get my next output, which is y. Okay, so usually when you have this decision making process in the requirement, then you have to go for control data flow graph instead of just data flow graph. Fine. So I hope these two computational models used in embedded system design is very clear. So we'll talk about or we'll discuss more models in coming videos. Thank you for watching.